sun come beautiful till it all burns out. We're like falling stars, miracles dancing on the ground. And we're right with you to feel it stride deep dive. We're right with you, yeah. And we're right with you to feel it stride deep dive. Suffering grows, yeah. Let's say that life is beautiful. Would you let me in? No, yeah. Let's say that life is beautiful. Would you let me in? No, yeah.
Hello.
Hey,
I
Julie.
Hi, Larry. How are you?
Doing well. You?
Excellent. Now, Larry came to me and he wanted me to do a birth chart analysis, and I did. And so this is what I did for him, and he is here to get his birth chart analysis done. So let's begin. Larry Hood. Wow, you have so many planets in Capricorn. You logical, grounded MFer. I'm surprised you're even getting this astrological chart done, because like looking at your birth charts, like, whoa, I'm too logical to hear about astrology. Well, it is a pleasure and an honor to be doing this for you. So I hope you get to know more about yourself. And yeah, here we go. Okay, your sun is in Capricorn and it is in the 4th house. Basically, you're ambitious, you're practical, and you want to achieve success, build a solid foundation for yourself and your family. You value stability. You're very reliable, determined. Like the way you approach things is usually grounded in practicality. You really respect discipline. You seem to hold efficiency in a high regard. You value honesty. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, so a lot of discipline is highly respected. You're definitely not afraid of hard work. A lot of Capricorns are deemed materialistic, but really it stems from a desire for like security and stability. You can come across as emotionally distant and reserved, especially since you have Moon in Capricorn. Shit, you got Sun in Capricorn, Moon in Capricorn, Mercury in Capricorn, Venus in Capricorn. I can see a lot of people feeling like you could be cold and distant. But your ascendant is in Libra, which should soften you up. But beneath like this tough exterior where you could appear as cold, like, as someone that's funny. And like you might prefer to be alone a lot. And when you surround yourself, you only want like a few close friends with you. So like people you trust and, value. Now you got Sun in the 4th house. So that's huge on like all matters of the family, the home, security. So the fact that you're a Capricorn and you have in the 4th, that's even going to be more dominant of like, I need stability. I want my home to be, protected and stable. A sense of security is super important too. You may have had like a volatile childhood in the home in your earlier years. Did your mom spoil you? I've noticed people with this placement had a mom that kind of tried to give them whatever they want financially, financially. But this I've noticed with this placement, there's inheritance of some kind, which doesn't have to always be financial. It could be like, ancestral wisdom, but blessings from your family lineage that you can build upon. But with this placement, I recommend studying your lineage and having a good relationship with them and diving into it. Okay, so you're a stable, reliable MFer who's a hard worker and consistent, who should definitely look into their lineage and ancestors on a deeper level, for sure. Now, Mars and Scorpio, very interesting. What I've noticed about Mars and Scorpio is that they're very intuitive, but they're able to see things from an aerial perspective. Like they know things, they're very good at reading people. excellent at reading people, seeing through it, also seeing like, oh, like further down the line of like, oh, yep, that person's gonna start talking to that one's gonna cheat. This is gonna like a knowing, but from like an aerial perspective. So what do I mean by that? Like sees further, like sees so high above of how certain people things work of and seeing the dynamics of how things work and seeing far ahead of that. Now, what I don't like about Mars and Scorpio is they're really able to dish it out. They're really able to like be like, oh, they see someone's flaws and what their blockages are, and they could voice that. But when you point out to a Mars and Scorpio things that they need to do, they could get like they can kind of dish out like the criticism, like harsh criticism a little bit, but they can't really take it. But with all your planets in Capricorn, I wouldn't that's probably not so much as a problem or an issue. I'm sure you're probably alone a lot though. Mars and Scorpio, all these planets, Capricorn. So focusing on love and how you love and how you attract it and what would be good for you, I think that would be a great route. And you're a total catch. And a lot of women want like a solid protector and in their masculine power. And I feel like you offer that. Okay, wait, before we get into the love, let's go into the moon. Moon and Capricorn in the fourth house. Oh, how I love moon and Capricorn. It's literally my most favorite placement of myself. So I'm excited that you have this. Okay, so reserved and cautious with your emotions, like driven by long-term goals, like we kind of tend to suppress our emotions and focus on like practicality, like where is this emotion going to get me. So kind of being like a CEO, like a logical CEO, like imagine a boardroom, like you're at a boardroom, you're CEO and your emotions come in, you're like, how are we going to respond to this, like, hey guys, and you have your chairman and your board of directors at your table and you're kind of the CAO and you're governing, like the business is emotions and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, what is this going to get us? What are we going to benefit out of dwelling on this X or feeling sorry for myself that I haven't found love or that I'm not financially, that I'm not financially abundant. Like we allow ourselves to feel certain things and then we're like, okay, all right, this is no longer beneficial. So people take that as being cold because they're like, oh, wow, you really shut that off. You really, our exterior inside, we kind of overthink, overanalyze, and we're reviewing and being logical like a business with our emotions and how we deal with other people. But on the outside, people don't see that process and that thought and the energy and the compassion. They don't see it or see that process. So it comes across as like old MFers that don't have a heart. So to me, it's a lucrative placement because you're not going to sit around and feel shame and sorry for yourself. You're going to snap yourself out of it. Who else has moon in Capricorn? Famous people. Brad Pitt, Johnny Depp. But also, it can come across as being calculative with our emotions. Again, your moon is in the fourth house. So your emotional nature is like even more so tied to your family and the environment of your home. Your feelings and instincts are more deeply like influenced by your experiences with your family relationships and the dynamics of your domestic life and growing up. And you even have more so of a strong need for emotional security. So your family is significant. You have several planets in this house. So your connection to your family is significant and your sense of self is deeply rooted in your ancestral lineage. So the memories and traditions like passed down to you through generations hold like great important to you. Your overall like emotional state and well-being is like tied to the harmony and comfort you experience within your home. So it's really important for you to have your home to be a sanctuary. So diving into your heritage, your ancestral line, understanding the role of your ancestors can bring like more of a profound sense of belonging and like balance emotionally. By honoring your roots and creating a loving home, you get a deep sense of emotional stability and fulfillment. Now, if you don't know much about your family, I would start digging. I mean, everybody should, but even more so you. I love that your moon is sextile Mars. Like it gives you the ability to control your powerful emotions and channel them into productive and assertive actions. So it's a big time beneficial aspect for you. Like your previous experiences teaches you taught you the importance of thinking before acting. preventing like rash decisions or like a gnarly consequence. Your self confidence and initiative tendency, fueled by Mars, enables you to seize opportunity and accomplish your goals. You're super like good at handling financial matters, and you're probably really enthusiastic, which inspires others because it becomes like contagious. So it's easy to get you to get other people in on your projects and to help out. So your whole vibe of that and your friendly, cooperative, like ability helps you, maintain good relationships and kind of if there's ever conflict to neutralize it. So I like it. I like this placement. All right, let's get to the love already. Okay, your Venus is in Capricorn, no surprise. And of course, it's in the fourth house. Venus in Capricorn's kind of cautious and reserved, like when it comes to love and affection. Like they're not ones to be like physically all over you and super touchy feely. You do care what other people think, but you deeply desire love and appreciation. Like you long for it, especially since your ascendant is in Libra. Like that you're here to find great love in this lifetime. Meaning, like in your last life, you probably were really independent, and in this life, you need to find like a great marriage, like a harmonious relationship. But Venus and Capricorn, you kind of have a reserved nature that may give, again, the impression of detachment, which you notice like with your sun in Capricorn, your moon in Capricorn, you could come across as a cold MFer, but inside, underneath all of it, you're not. So learning to balance that and express it more, maybe be a little more affectionate, will totally come in handy. So Venus and Capricorn, you're not interested in casual or superficial relationship whatsoever. You really want a deep, a genuine and lasting love, especially since you have Mars and Scorpio. That's like, I want to connect your soul, I want to know what you're thinking. So you can kind of be like old fashioned. Like, I need to ask her out. I'm going to open the door for her. I'm going to pay for it. Like traditional. And loyalty and faithfulness is definitely important to you. It wouldn't surprise me if you went for somebody a little older or just emotionally mature and reliable. So something to really think about is how you balance your like you being cautious and serious approach to love with a need for like being vulnerable and like openly expressing yourself. Again, that it's in the fourth house, a stable and affectionate home environment, like you would absolutely thrive in. But who wouldn't? Venus and Capricorns are natural born lovers, though. And behind closed doors, when it's all said and done, they are able to thrive at intimacy, if you know what I mean. Like, very sensual and knows what to do. Let's just leave it at that. So you are affectionate and sensual, especially behind closed doors, than like wildly passionate. It would be good for you to have a partner that, expresses himself a lot to you and encourages you and inspires you. You're going to be pretty private when it comes to matters of the heart. And you're always going to want someone where you know where you stand with a partner. Like it would drive you extra mad to be with someone that's like, I don't know how she's feeling. Like, I haven't heard from her in this long. Like, or somebody very wishy washy or that pulls away or requires, or doesn't express itself. Like that would drive you crazy. But yeah, you're going to thrive when you're in a committed, like long term, secure, stable partnership. You do have an intense fear of being rejected and humiliated. So you're not going to be like dating a whole bunch of people because like that would terrify you. And you're not very trusting at all of people. Like it could take some time for you to give your trust. So you're not really trusting at first, but once you trust somebody, man, you're all in. Like commitment turns you on. So focusing on love, an important placement that I love to bring up and cover is Ceres. And what is Ceres? It's a dwarf planet that was discovered by an Italian astronomer. And Ceres, it's named after a Roman goddess, which was the goddess of agriculture, grain, crops, motherly love. So in astrology, Ceres represent the nurturing and the ways in which we love others. It can also symbolize our relationship with our mother because she's the first person who takes care of us and nurtures us. But moon in Capricorn, I noticed a tendency where a moon placement has a lot to do with your relationship with your mother and the type of mother that you had. And moon in Capricorns, I see time and time again where their mom kind of rejected them in their childhood, like wasn't emotionally available or wasn't around. But back to series. So you have series in Virgo. Oh my God. This guy, like one of my favorite people that I ever was in a relationship with, he had series in Virgo. So they make you feel so loved. I mean, like the way you express love is like hardworking, like, let me build this for you. Let me, like, you guys are amazing nurturers. Oh my God. Like you're so meticulous, so nurturing, and like you pay like extra attention to detail. Like Virgos, they see the flaws, they see how things don't work, but they also see the solutions. So if you're going to love in Virgo, like it's going to be hardworking, it's going to be, you're going to pay attention to everything that she's into and is passionate about or that needs to get done. Like, oh, she really, so to me, it's ideal because that person analyzes what you need and so wants to express love by going that extra mile, and it usually suits that partner's needs and what they need done and what they really love. So it's like this customized way of loving. So that is a badass placement. Oh my God. Like you also show your love and your care for others through acts of service, and you're always looking for ways to be more efficient and effective. So you're always going to be improving on like, ooh, she really didn't like it when I did that. Like, let me adjust it and let me really wow her. But they're constantly doing things that their partner will love. Like it's so thoughtful, but you're also like a big time perfectionist. So you strive to be, exceptional and excellent in all that you do. So applying that to love and acts of service, like, hello, I don't know. I love it. But you guys have like a no nonsense, no bullshit type of attitude. And you're naturally like, you think highly organized and efficient when it comes to getting things done. So you like to have everything kind of in order, and you might get a little pissed off when things don't go according to plan, or, So you guys could be like overbearing and very critical, and you're your harshest critic of yourself and others. But you're ultimately motivated by a desire to make sure everyone is happy, everyone's well taken care of. And this aspect encourages you to pay attention to the small details, that in life that goes unnoticed and unappreciated. Yeah, you really make sure others' needs are met. It's like Virgo's very accounts payable, accounts receivable. So when you're applying that like in and out and what's needed and what's, added, what's subtracted, what's, asset, what's liability, you apply that to love, and that's a beneficial placement. So you're very nurturing and caring, and you're often the one who takes care of their loved ones, especially with all of your placements in the fourth house. Like you really pay attention to the needs of your family members and are always there to lend like a helping hand. You will always find a way to make people around you, people that you love, life more easier. And how many people do that for you? Come on, you're a gem, you're a rarity. You take your responsibility super serious, and you're always willing to put in the hard work necessary for those around you and those you love. So a tendency I notice about this is you guys can become so focused on your duty and so much about pleasing others and going that extra mile of people that you love that you're kind of like the last. I notice like you kind of neglect yourself of like, oh, I'm willing to go these extra miles and like cook this nutritious meal that like she loves or my uncle loves, or but when it comes to eating healthy for yourself, like you're more motivated to do it for someone you really love. And I recommend no longer like treating yourself as your ultimate partner and your ideal mate and loving on yourself and not putting your needs last. Like self-care, practice it, balance it with your responsibilities, but do not sacrifice your own well-being, period. But yeah, you find joy in making and finding ways to make life easier for, your loved ones around you. Now, moving into your Eros, and you have Eros in Sagittarius in your third house. So it's about unleashing erotic expression. It expresses a passionate and adventurous nature in matters of love and desire. You're really fueled by a strong desire for freedom and exploration, both mentally and physically. So your erotic energy is ignited when you're able to engage in stimulating conversations that expand your horizons and experience, like new belief systems, new cultures. You really have a deep longing for intellectual connection and spiritual growth within your intimate relationships. You find like a lot of excitement in exploring like different philosophies with your partner. So as you expand this understanding of the world, it enhances your erotic connection. So this could kind of create a desire, like an appetite to seek partners who are from like a different cultural background or have like a totally different, diverse perspective. So you're drawn to individuals who can challenge your beliefs and introduce you to a whole new way of thinking and living and being and believing. So a partner, a great ideal partner for you would be somebody that could provide like spiritual insight or like a whole new way of eating and living. You have Mars and Scorpio in the second house, so you have a like a desire to investigate underlying reason is why the world is the way it is or why people do what they do. Usually with this placement, they usually have a strong sex drive. So exploring tantra, like tantric sex practices, like totally diving into tantra would be beneficial. And channeling your erotic sexual energy, like having that expressed, because if not, can become destructive. So practicing tantra would be, yeah, really great for you. Mars in the second house suggests that your desires and actions are practical and generally aimed at enhancing your physical security and material comfort. And with your other placements in Capricorn, you will be able to do such a thing. So your first priority is to establish a level of comfort and, security and sufficiency, but be wary of becoming too materialistic. But, these individuals are usually kind of obsessed with attaining, like always busy in the pursuit of acquiring your material desires. Having this placement definitely means you can be pretty stubborn and you can have a hard time letting things go. So be careful of holding grudges or being vengeful. Try not to hold on to resentments. Mars and Scorpio, though, once they're on your side and committed, you guys will have that person's back like to the death. But it means you could be pretty guarded and, not really revealing. You don't really give out a ton of information, but you'll want and demand a lot of information from others. But you probably will have a tough go at love before you find the one. Mars and Scorpio, you're probably going to be throughout your life like attracted to people with a pretty dark past, but you can graduate from that or attract a lot of partners that like unrequited love where like you were into them, but they weren't into you. But after enough, like, trial runs, you're likely to find like a legendary love affair that will last a lifetime, especially with your ascendant in Libra. But for Mars and Scorpio, you will need to let down your walls a little bit and get more vulnerable instead of so guarded and untrusting, to really lean into the emotional safety the right person can provide. Mars and Scorpio are excellent detectives, excellent researchers. They really get to the root of what's going on. Someone with Venus in Cancer would probably be wonderful for you, or even Venus in Scorpio. Venus in Pisces would be wonderful for you. Mars and Scorpio men aren't typically very athletic, although they should be. Like, but you could excel in martial arts. That would be really good for you, like jujitsu. Your biggest competition is yourself, and you do best when you can constantly push yourself beyond your own limits. But I highly recommend doing some form of martial art for sure. This makes sex really important to you, but also overcoming your desires and being disciplined with it and channeling that energy is even more beneficial for you. But you're going to be really attracted to like powerful females who have a high level of emotional intelligence. So somebody who's emotionally immature is not good for you. You won't want to tolerate it. Now, you have Lilith in Taurus, and Lilith represents our darker, more primal side, like aspects of ourselves that society may deem unconventional or unacceptable. But you got Lilith in Taurus, so it's more grounded, sensual, and determined. Taurus is known for stubbornness and determination, and with Lilith's influence, these traits are even more amplified. They're intensified. But it also makes you like super resilient in the face of challenges. You tend to harmonize particularly well with those that appreciate stability, sensuality, loyalty, especially with your Mars in Scorpio and all of your Capricorn placements. I mean, wow, as a whole, you're really going to harmonize well with those that also have a deep sense of appreciation for stability, sensuality, and loyalty. So signs like Cancer, Scorpio, Capricorn are going to be great for you. You have an unwavering commitment to your goals and a really strong sense of self. When you set your mind on something, like it's going to be pretty challenging to sway you away from that, to prevent you from having that. So this type of determination and energy leads to great achievements and success. Like you're not easily deterred by obstacles or setbacks. Plus, you combine that with all your Capricorn placements as well as your Ceres in Virgo. Like you like to perform duties and responsibilities of those around you. You're deeply connected to your physical senses and you enjoy indulging in all forms of pleasure. Like I always say, a way to a Taurus's heart is through food. So, like a deeper appreciation for food and your senses, things where you're indulging in your senses. So, that would be great to find someone that loves to cook. This is also another placement where you find great importance on material possessions and financial stability. So, not so much out of greed, but more for a desire for security and comfort. So, again, achieving that balance, not to let your materialistic tendencies overshadow other aspects of your life. So, Lilith and Taurus, you guys are known for your deep capacity for love and romance. You're devoted partners who value loyalty, commitment, and your sensuality makes for passionate lovers. And you really want a partner who can match your intensity. But be wary, your stubbornness can kind of lead to challenges in relationships as you may be resistant change or compromising, like you're going to do it your way. So be open to being, to compromise. And be careful because of your tendency to be possessive or jealous, especially with your Mars and Scorpio. You do have a strong desire to protect what you consider to be yours, which can lead to feelings of possessiveness over your partner. And sometimes you could result in jealousy, like especially if you feel like there's a threat to your relationship. So it's crucial for you to work on trust and communication to overcome those challenges. Again, this is big on devotion. Another part of your chart, another aspect of your chart has the same theme of devoted. You value stability, security. Like once you commit to a relationship, you're in it for the long haul. You have an unwavering loyalty. And it's another aspect that you have a strong like sense of perseverance and a very strong work ethic. You're not afraid of hard work. You're willing to put in the hours necessary to succeed. You're patient, persistent. You totally understand that success requires time and effort, and that type of determination allows you to overcome any obstacle and achieve your goals. But this tendency, like this placement, you have a tendency to possibly overindulge. So watch it with, heavy drinking or smoking too much weed. Try to be disciplined in that because, yeah, you can bang out your hard work and responsibilities, but that tendency to overindulge when is all said and done, like at night. So by practicing self-discipline, which should be easy for you with all these Capricorn placements, you could thrive. And try to break out like do different. This can be a lot of your chart of, falling into the comfort of familiarity. It's going to be a struggle for you to adapt to new situations and do different things and to get outside of your box. You can have so much growth by learning to embrace change and try new things. That would be wonderful. You could really expand your horizons and, have new experiences of getting out of your box. Yeah, but becoming more adaptable and finding a balance for your need for stability and your willingness to embrace new possibilities. And the more willing you are, the more you're able to grow and evolve personally and professionally. Okay, so you have Vesta in Capricorn. The placement of Vesta in our birth charts represents what we consider sacred and holy to us. So Vesta points to the expression of sexual energy in a meaningful dimension. So because of that, like it's this sacred element of our sexuality. And it speaks about how human desire may turn into spiritual longing. But negative aspects of this may cause sexuality issues, repressed sexual expression, or exaggeration. So you have Vesta and Capricorn, making you really determined, disciplined, and well organized. And you pay attention to detail and are meticulous about everything you do. You're starting to notice a pattern here. Again, you don't stop until you reach your goals, no matter how challenging they are. It makes you like planners, and you totally think things through thoroughly before doing it, like everything. Like you leave nothing to chance, and that you have everything like well thought out and under your control. So since you have patience for detailed work, you're good. You're usually good in professions that require maths, operations, and a lot of attention. You never do anything without thinking it through. You are dedicated and you usually have no issues with following the rules or obeying your boss's expectations. You do what is required. Like if you're the boss, like this placement could kind of make you kind of strict and really rigid. Like you expect the best from your employees or coworkers and you want to see them shine. But this placement can kind of make you not very good in relationships because you can never really relax and enjoy the moment. You're continuously thinking about all the tasks you should do and the goals that you want to accomplish, and not being very emotionally expressive. And you kind of struggle with admitting your feelings. And it's another placement where people can find you unapproachable and cold, but you're not as detached as others think or that you come across. You just prefer to stay alone and to focus on your goals and obeying everything out. But you could kind of view relationships as a distraction that will disrupt your career. You tend to feel lonely and misunderstood because you don't really feel comfortable opening up to people. And you can kind of have this inner longing that you wish you had somebody like minded who understands your determination and focus. But you have this tendency, like, even when you find someone similar to you, that you tend to distance yourself after some time and go back into your shell. And you can have like a fear of losing control. Like you love knowing what and when to expect, which is more challenging if there's like a whole nother person in the picture. So people with displacements kind of sometimes sacrifice their love lives and stay alone. But if you manage to relax and establish a bond with someone, you'll be faithful and dedicated. But it's important to be with someone that knows that you're probably going to retreat into yourself from time to time. But you're very habitual and routine. You have your routine, you have your habits, and you like it. So being aware that you could be scared of changes, and kind of confronting that and trying new things and playing with your routine. But it's another aspect where, you are well organized, you're meticulous, you're intelligent, you love spending time on your own and enjoying your own hobbies. And you like working, you like improving yourself. These type of men are focused on realizing their plans and making their goals come true. And you feel really uncomfortable and can kind of be like allergic to lazy people. Like it's not going to go well with somebody that's incredibly lazy as a partner. You're so traditional, and having a wife that takes care of the kids and runs the household, like, you would like that. But somebody that doesn't want to do the housework or care for the kids, like you wouldn't go for that. Like complete laziness is what I'm referring to. So your ascendant is in Libra. So like I was saying earlier, like in this lifetime, you're here to find like a harmonious relationship, a great marriage, and thrive in that. Like Libra ascendants, all they want from a romantic relationship is unconditional love. Like they're basically like, I want harmony. A tendency like Libra rising is they often intervene and take on the role of mediator in conflicts, like between coworkers, friends, family. They have like this like diplomatic skill, and they're often like they're like a good judge and balancer. Like they're good at neutralizing conflict. Like they'll get each person to see the other side of the situation. But they have this tendency to completely avoid, like if there's a conflict with them, like they can have the tendency to avoid the problem altogether instead of finding a balanced resolution. When it's other people, they come in, they take action, they handle it awesome. But when it comes to like if they're involved in the conflict, they could kind of just like seek refuge and avoid it, to want to avoid it. Like, or the tendency to give in quickly and agree and abandon your own point of view or how you feel about it. Like, well, like you being really upset about it, but you just want, just for the sake of harmony, you give in. So your own need and desires are usually left behind for the fear of pushing others away. And you could find like a characteristic or Libra ascendant is making decisions very hard, of like being indecisive. But with all your other placements, like I would think your indecisiveness, it wouldn't be as affected. Like I wouldn't think that would affect you because you have so much Capricorn in you. But that tendency to like take a long time of weighing the pros and cons, especially with your moon and Capricorn, of really evaluating things. And so you're not very impulsive, so really thinking things through, but learning to assert your points of view and really defend your wants and needs, and learning how to express that, not being fearful of like, oh, I don't want to rock the boat, or I don't want them to like stop talking to me or to be mad at me for 2 weeks and deal with that energy. A negative trait would be like being pretty gullible. That would be a negative trait. Avoiding disputes, essentially. But you should be pretty optimistic and helpful and generous and usually right on about things. Like so your whole chart, you're not going to be irrational. Like you're going to be logical and grounded and balanced. So your midheaven is in Cancer. The midheaven sits at the top of the horoscope. It represents one of the more important angles of the birth chart. The midheaven like speaks of how we enter society. It describes like our social aspirations, and it can characterize like chosen career path. So it represents our calling and the role we are destined to kind of play in the world. So being that you have midheaven in Cancer, you're kind of like the host, and like Cancer is known for its care and compassion. So with Cancer on the midheaven, you'll approach society with caution, like especially where you consider the world to be a hard place. As you gain confidence, you will allow yourself a greater ambition. So the fact that it reflects our calling and it points to our ideal vocation. So one is called to nurture and care for others. So you may offer refuge or healing or comfort. You will need to set boundaries as a guard against the emotionally demanding or needy aspects of your job, of not just being this person where they come and just dump all their problems on you, or responsibilities on you, especially since that's how you express your love, is through duty and acts of service. So careful of being like taken advantage of. It could have the aspect that your parents may have supported and encouraged you to work really hard. But also, like, you could have had parents that were very controlling and very hard on you and put a lot of responsibility at a young age. But it makes you like a natural nurturer and a tendency to put your loved ones first. You should be pretty intuitive as well. Now you have Mercury and Capricorn. I love Mercury and Capricorns because like the information is clear, it's concise, and very easy to follow. And I enjoy that, especially since my Mercury is in Scorpio, which complicates everything. But yeah, with Mercury and Capricorn, there's never like, nobody's ever confused by when you do express yourself, when you're not being guarded, nobody's ever confused by what you mean. It's very clear. It's very concise. You also won't be drawn to wasting it on like meaningless gossip. Like you're not going to be, gossiping, and you're straight to the point. I love straight to the point. People with this placement tend to have a really good memory, and they learn quickly and easily. And if something interests them, like they excel at it. And Mercury and Capricorn organizes information extremely well and likes to do a lot of research. Now, as children, like Mercury and Capricorn displays like extraordinary intellectual achievements, but they're usually shy and self-conscious when they're young. So communication skills tend to improve greatly with time, like the older that they get, but that tendency to be total perfectionists. You tend to go back and double check everything just to make sure there's no mistakes or that you're not misunderstood, but you prefer to say exactly what you mean. A weakness with Mercury and Capricorn could be you could be too like rigid in your thinking. Like rules are important to you. And if you choose a profession where things should be done in a certain way, you could take advantage of this tendency. Like you like to do things how they're supposed to be done. You have very high standards when it comes to the work that you do. In the workplace, you do well in roles that requires you to be in charge. Like if something needs to be done, you'll stay, you'll go that extra mile and like stay later. With all the Capricorn in your chart, you could say that work is necessary for your well-being. Like you genuinely like working. It could even serve as like a coping mechanism. So be careful to be like that area of your life thriving so well that no other area in your life has much energy or focus. But yeah, you're great for creating structure. So older people might have helped you like on your journey. It's easy for you to communicate with your teachers, bosses, coworkers, business partners, but a downside could be you're not as playful as you could be. Like you lack spontaneity. Like it could indicate a worrisome person, someone that worries a lot, or like you tend to beat yourself up for mistakes that you did. So careful not to fall into that trap of thinking negative thoughts about yourself. What we think about, we bring about. So yeah, not having such harsh thoughts or critical thoughts. Sometimes with this placement, they're more prone to depression or hopelessness or like a gloomy mood. Careful of that. Jeff Bezos actually has Mercury in Capricorn. I hope you have enjoyed a deeper look into yourself. And I hope that you are able to learn and evolve and grow from this information. Voila. There it was. Oh, what I wanted to, there's so much more but with the as many placements you had in the houses, what I've noticed with that, you had a lot of fourth house placements, and what I noticed with that is there's a lot of blessings, like ancestral. Think of the most gifted ones in your bloodline. You inherit a lot of those gifts and abilities, but it comes with like you have to clear a lot of like ancestral bad negative habits that was passed down to you. So it's like inheriting curses, like inheriting blessings, but to fully step in and activate those blessings, you have to go through the curses, like live it, overcome it, and do differently. Like, what I see a lot with people with a lot of those placements is overcoming a lot of addictions, or if it was being in like a toxic love relationship or always going for people that hurt you or whatever was like a common theme ancestrally, they will have to do differently. But I've noticed it's multiple things, like with that placement, it's like a lot of things that they have to clear and do different. And so, yeah, I wanted to make sure to tell you that.
Yeah, that's on point with food addiction. I came from a family that's how they loved. That's how they got over grief. Everything was food. I've been obese since I was in third or fourth grade, and just this last year, I've lost 115 pounds. I finally
Oh,
kind of.
congratulations. Oh,
Thank you.
wow. So you healed that pattern. You overcame it and oh my gosh, that's amazing. So watch when that happens too. You're usually blessed almost immediately. Like where once you do that, it's like it just all these amazing things line up where you're like getting showered with blessings when you clear that.
Yeah, I feel that's true. When it rains, it pours, and I find that whenever something good happens, a whole bunch of doors open at the same exact time. So I have to say yes in a bunch of different directions and just start taking things and trying to figure it out, trying to layer it and plan it out. The planning thing, like, yeah, I'm a paladin when it comes to law and order and rules, and I definitely like to plan things out. Like I had a date recently where I wasn't in control, and it bothered me so bad because I couldn't plan every detail. I needed to know, like at 2 p.m. we go over here, at 4 p.m. we're going to go hike over here. And then it got under my skin. I got through it, but yeah, I like to be more in control and plan things out for sure.
I'm somebody that appreciates that. Like, as I have so many placements in Libra that like it can make me like indecisive. Like, I don't know. So having somebody that's, like a ideal partner for me is like somebody that's very nurturing, but also like, this is what we're gonna do. Like, let me plan it all out. Like, I would definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm more of an itinerary type. Like, all right, you don't have to think about anything. I've got it all planned out. You just sit there and be pretty, and I'll take care of everything else.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I wanted to ask you about the Libra stuff because I've noticed a lot of the women I've been meeting are Libra.
That's good. That means you're like in your power and on your path, because that's your ascendant. And when you start attracting what you're ascending to be, like you're rising, like our ascendant, our rising sign is like it's usually the thing that it's what I say is like your rising sign, your rising sign, your ascendant is and they say that about North Node, but I feel like it's totally correlated. That's what you're here to do in this lifetime, and it's usually what's most difficult for you, like foreign for you. So like in this lifetime, you are learning how to work with another person, how to be in a partnership, how to be in a marriage, because you, like in your last life, like you've mastered being independent and doing it alone and not having to rely on anyone. So it's going to be foreign to you, but that's where you're stepping into your power. So I always notice people that are when they start doing what they're supposed to be doing in alignment with, their purpose and with everything, that they will begin to attract their rising sign or their North Node, which to me, I take that as being on the right track and a really good sign, because that means it's so crazy how things show up, So I think that's amazing that you're attracting a lot of your ascendant. That means like you're on the right path. When did that happen? Like in the last 6 months?
Yeah, so about a year ago, I decided that I was gonna start kind of working on myself in every direction possible. And about 6 months ago, for some reason, January keeps coming up. Like January is going to be a big month for me, I guess. And I've been trying to plan stuff out. I was going to wait to start dating again in January. And a few months ago, I just jumped the gun and decided, no, I'll go ahead and break out the rust and start getting in there now. And yeah, since
and
then
that's
it's
like
been
confronting a fear for you, huh? Too, of like putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, like becoming available.
not so much. Like I tend to, I guess I can overshare pretty easily. I'm an open book, so I'm not afraid to say like, well, yeah, that scared me or whatever. Like I'm not going to hold that back. But the yeah, being in control of my own life and being used to being alone for a little bit was dead on. Like it's the compromising and learning to work with another person right now that's more difficult, because again that paladin comes back in and I'm like, no, I want everything in order by the book, exactly how things should go. I want to have a plan for everything. I want to make sure that everything gets followed. I want to make sure everything gets done on time. Like that's probably the biggest turnoff ever, is flakiness and people showing up late.
Unreliable. Yeah. Laziness and unreliability. You're like, what? Get out of here with that.
Yeah. I feel like I was lazier as a child, and I've grown out of that. So I expect everybody that I deal with now to be grown out of it. I see it as a sign of immaturity.
Oh, awesome. And then, I mean, I was like looking at your chart. I'm like, dude, this guy is an ideal boss. Like, you're an ideal business owner. Like, no matter what it is, you have a task, you're going to achieve it. That's why it's like, dude, have the confidence to have your goals really high, because you're not going to let anything get in the way of your goal.
Yeah, I'm fixing to start my own business here in about 3 months. I'm
Perfect.
getting involved in local government, and in January, it's a little early to announce it, but in January, I'm running for city council here in my town.
Oh my God, that's so perfect for you. Oh my God. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, I'm just kind of grabbing onto responsibilities and bringing them in and focusing them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like you're someone, if I had like, several Fortune 500 companies, like looking at your birth chart, I'd be like, okay, yeah, he can have one. Like you run this one. You're like, no, I can run them all. I got this. No problem.
Sweet, that's a good idea. Then I'll keep on with it. Not flake out on myself with the business.
Well, this was actually your idea because when you booked a birth chart session with me, you're like, how about we do a show so others can see how this works? So if they want one with you, like they'll know. I was like, really? Because I'm always surprised, I guess, at times, how like people want to hear this. You know what I mean? Of like, oh, but it's really helpful. Whereas I look at it is like, oh, this would be really helpful if you're dating someone or or you're in a relationship with someone and you want to get to know them deeper and you're like, okay, like I want one on her or them, like I feel like it can deepen relationships. That's why I was like, like in family dynamics, like if parents had birth chart analysis for their children, especially when they hit like 14, of like, oh, they really need structure or they get this or they have this is their the moon and the Mercury is so important, your emotional world and how you express it, because every single altercation, every single like hurt feeling, it results back of communication, like not feeling loved, wanting to feel loved, and there's always a miscommunication somewhere. And so it's like families could benefit of like reaching their kid or, and then how you raise someone, it could really help because we all are wired so differently and we all express love differently.
Right. Yeah,
But
you've got to learn your love languages pretty early.
yeah, absolutely. And then I think what a lot of we have a tendency of doing of like, we love the way we wanted to be loved, the way we prefer to be loved. And I always say, like, we love the way we wanted to be loved as a child. And I repeat that. We love the way we wanted to be loved as a child. And it's so true because I never felt understood. I always felt so different and like nobody understood me to this day, truly. But I've accepted it. But like, so I show my love by understanding. Like, I want to understand you. I want to, and astrology is a great tool in doing that for me, since I was a teenager. So, but yeah, so if you really, it's a deeper of knowing that of like, oh, how was that? How did I want to be loved as a child?
Yeah, the acts of service is probably my biggest thing. Like I love cooking for people that I love. It can be even just a shallow love. Someone I just met. If I care for you, I'm probably going to cook for you. And there's almost like an alchemical transfer of
Yes.
how
You
I
taste it.
yeah. Yeah, you're putting a piece of yourself into them because you cherish them.
That's why you notice too, like some of these restaurants where they have, where you're like, oh, it's like a couple, like an old married couple or whatever, and you're could be on the side of a highway or whatever, but you're like, oh my God, that was the best food, and there is an energy transference. That's why another reason not to eat at certain places is like they're overworked, they're tired, like that energy gets put into it as well, like. Or if they hate their job or they're underpaid and they're angry or frustrated with life, like that energy of it being instilled in the food. But I've noticed that with like your series in Virgo, oh my God, like you guys are like alchemical. Like when it comes to cooking, it's like you taste the love and feel it. But like that's such an ideal placement because whoever you're with is always going to feel loved. Like you always make people feel love, not just like every now and then, like consistently, like you're consistent. So I was like, oh my God, Moon and Capricorn and like series of Virgo, like you're going to make someone so happy and they're going to be so pumped on you.
The hardest part is accepting love that's not in your love language. If they're not acts of service as well, if they're not touch, I don't know how to perceive it. So a lot of times I just take it as, all right, well, they're not that into me or whatever, like, or something's going on in their background.
Well,
I
that's
can't.
good with you have so many Capricorn places that you're like, yeah, no, like it's like hiring someone, like, nope, they don't meet the qualifications. Like, nope, this box wasn't checked. Like, on to the next one. Ooh, like you're gonna go through people and be like, it's like a hiring. You're gonna be like a boss with it, which to
Yeah,
some people may sound like oh, what a cold mf'er, but like, hey man, I mean that you're this is a serious lifetime commitment. Like, a lot of people get in relationships and are unhappy and they didn't go through that and then they got stuck, where you're being like really mindful, and that's good.
yeah, I have that. I have a tendency to think of it as like, well, there's another bus in 15 minutes. So if this one's not working
Avid.
out, I need to catch that bus, the next one,
Oh my gosh. But you know what? I always say too, you get the love you think you deserve. So it's like, and then I think it was Plato that said, you deserve what you tolerate. So, like, if you're with someone that's verbally abusing you or, treating you a certain way, like, if you're going to continue to allow that and stay in it, like, you deserve it. Right. Like, I mean, that could be really harsh, but you get the love you think you deserve. So, if you really value, you're going to hold your value and be like, okay, like, I'm going to wait for the one, or I'm going to make sure she checks all my boxes. And you're valuing yourself. That's honorable.
Yeah, I tend to trim the fat pretty quick, like sobriety and stuff like that. If people aren't on the same page as me, I try to address it pretty quickly because I don't want to get too involved in anything, business or finances or anything that's not vibing early on. Like I want something early on so that I can invest my whole self into it and
Mhm.
make it great earlier on, not have to worry about we'll just sacrifice this in a year and then move on to another one.
Yeah, I saw like a thing yesterday about like a couple. They're like, yeah, we get a hotel room. We use the conference room every December and we go over our finances for the entire year. And we do this every year. I was like, dude, that's awesome. But you seem like somebody that would be like, oh, yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm going to do that. Like, oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And they go
Yeah.
over all of it to be on the same page. And they're like, successes like, have a business plan. Like, don't just do a business plan, like update your business plan. And this is like, if you're running a household with someone, like it should be like that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's definitely. I'm the type that I check my bank account like once or twice a day just to see what's going on.
Oh, rad. Well, what did you think of like over everything? Did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, and like 95% of it rang true. 95. There was a couple of things that didn't really hit. What was it? The mother not giving attention. That wasn't a thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
notice too with a lot of like Capricorn placements, their mom usually showers them with everything. That's why earlier on I was like, "Did your mom spoil you?" I've noticed that, but with a couple of those other placements, yeah, there's that tendency. But they usually like with all the Capricorn placements, they usually have a mom that's like just honors them and showers them with a lot. But the Capricorn moon, their moms were usually emotionally unavailable in their childhood or just like unavailable somehow. So those kind of counteract. But yeah, I wasn't sure, but I
it's
have
kind
to
of
mention it.
yeah, it's kind of a mix. I mean, she was depressed a lot, so that could be what the whole moon thing was about. But I mean, I got showered and spoiled as much as a poor single female could shower her only son. So it
Mm.
they both kind of play in.
Oh, good. Well, that's good to hear. I know. I was like, if it's the ancestor, I'm like, what if he was adopted? Like, because it's really theming on like, look into your bloodline, like, look into your ancestors, and so many different placements for you. So I was like, oh, well, hopefully
I
he can.
I tend to ignore a lot of the more recent ancestry and go deep.
Yes, yeah, but that's like it's saying like further, like the most powerful one, like you embody and have things that the most powerful ones in your bloodline had, but to receive that, you have to overcome certain toxic tendencies that was passed along, which is usually more recent.
I've got a
Like,
lot of like kings from Denmark and stuff like that. I can go back to about 500 AD in my ancestry line.
oh, so you
And
have. Oh, so
yeah,
you're already doing the damn thing. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I've been keeping track of it for like 10 years just out of interest, just to see where I come from. And there were rumors in the family that I had to address that didn't make any sense. And I would be like, no, look, this is where we're from. That there's a lot of old Denmark, Scandinavia, France. There's a good little line of where we traveled to the U.S. from. But Denmark seems to be that big key. Hopefully, I don't get beheaded or iron eagled or something like that to do that ancestral trauma.
Wait, so there right? Wait, so there's a couple kings in your bloodline?
Yeah. So on my mother's side, it's almost all Viking stuff. So like one of the
Valhalla.
yeah one of the people mentioned in the beginning of the Beowulf epic was a Scythian. He's a relative. Though people debate whether or not Ragnar Lodbrok was a real person, his sons truly were, because they think he might be an amalgamation of different folk tales.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the ancestor? Sigurd Snake in the Eye or something like that is who I'm supposed to be related to. And and that Viking show on History Channel just didn't do him any cool justice. He died fairly quickly. So I was like, well, that's a bummer.
Oh my gosh, this is fascinating. Oh my gosh, I love this. That is super powerful, and I can't like I'm saying like I can't believe it, but it's so I'm like I can't believe you looked into that, but it's so perfect and ideal. But gosh, I would love to know more information on your bloodline. Like, let me know. Like, I would love to dig deep into that. I'm super into that too.
Sure, I'll throw you some stuff in Discord. I post a lot of it in Xerxes's or Exertus's stuff, but yeah, I'll throw you some stuff. Before we head out, do you have any advice?
Well, wait for when it comes to love.
Yeah, I'll take love. I'll take career. Uh, I mean, like that Libra thing in love pops up quite a bit, so I'm curious about that.
I just feel like, well, I mean, like the goals, like set your goal high because there's nothing going to stop you, like whatsoever. And with love, it was like, no, be aware once you find her, not to like pull away too much. And you know what I mean? Of like, and being more vulnerable and open. And that's why I think getting your neurologically, like your neuro pathways to start different, breaking out of the box, trying new things. So your neuro pathways of and I mean I really think martial arts or some type of like qigong or like some type of something like that would be super beneficial with you, of like the movement and um especially fighting. Now that to know about your Viking past is like in your blood. Like I always say, in 1 gram of DNA holds 455 exabytes of data. Like that's a lot of information. Like that's inside of you. Like, and tap into that because you know of activating certain things that's in you, especially when you come from a powerful bloodline. To activate that, and so yeah, applying yourself, having your goals high. I love that you're going for city council. Like, oh my gosh, that's going to open up so many doors, and you're ideal for that, like management and structure. And so having to do the government side of it. And um the love thing, like being more vulnerable, being open, but also kind of this one this guy gave me this advice of like, Julia, you want to do different, you want to change the timeline. He's like, you want it, he said it really intense too. He's like, you want to change the timeline, just do something different. That's all you got to do. You want to change the timeline, you just got to do something different. And like, it's simple as it is, like it's so true. Like, you want to change your time, so imagine it is like putting yourself on a highest trajectory, do something different. So if you can constantly challenge yourself of doing something different a lot, like ideally once a week, that would be great. But constantly, even just if you take a route to work, going a different route, like, you know, like not so structured and programmed, even though that is your greatest asset, is one of your greatest assets as well. So having that, but also implementing the, you know, doing different, and then it'll keep you open. and also like like I said, the neural pathways of trying something different and activating certain things in your DNA by doing that. So that would be my advice. And I want an update from you. Like I want to get like after January, like let January happen. You have your birthday. You launch your business and you have all these new problems and but great rewards and the city council. I want to hear like an update, and even I'd like to do a show on that, like an update. And then if you want to talk about your ancestral stuff there, we could show pictures and everything. That would be
Oh,
cool.
yeah, I'm so down, and we definitely have an easy way to contact each other. So, and as far as like the doing new things and stuff, I just started jujitsu, so that's kind
Oh,
of perfect.
perfect. Yes, yes, that's ideal. Oh my gosh. Oh, um,
There's nothing more invigorating than the rolling part. Just like I mean, you have to learn new things too, but that's the most. Ever since I was a kid, I had to grab kids in school and my cousins and have to wrestle them. And at like age 10, I found pro wrestling and became obsessed and just like, I've got to do this. I got to pick you up. I got to put you over here. And so that's all jujitsu is. As soon as the class is done, you just get to roll with people, and that's the coolest part is just letting your instincts come out and see how you maneuver.
well, like too, as men, like I always speak of how the indigenous cultures, what they did, like how it was a thriving community or village or whatever. The men stuck together. I mean, there's a lot of things they did different, but I love how the men they ran things. And like when a male would hop out of line, whether he was a 14-year-old or like, an older, or somebody in their 30s or perving out on a married woman or whatever, like they would take him to the bonfire, they would beat his ass and then let him cry it out. And then his men, like, and then it shows other men of like, you step out of line, we're all coming together and we're all going to handle this like men over a fire. And it sets a tone of like the community and everything. So it is so important for men to do jujitsu and martial arts because of what that does of having you step in and hold your power and using your mind. It's spiritual, it's physical. A friend of mine, one of my closest friends, he introduced me to Higa Machado. Do you know who he is? He's
Okay.
like
Yeah.
he like trains all these celebrities in jiu-jitsu, and I met him a couple years ago, and he's so funny. But I love what he's doing. I think he just got to be like 1.5 million subscribers, and I love what he does for men of like training them and what the effect that it has on them. And I was talking to my good friend, like he's like, he alpha dad me. There's so many of us didn't have strong fathers or even didn't even know our fathers growing up. So when you kind of get that when you go to jujitsu, like when you're doing those martial arts, you're receiving something on another level that many of us were deprived of or didn't have. So that fulfilling, you know what I mean? Like, so, oh
Oh
my
yeah.
gosh, that's profound. Like, I'm really happy that you're doing that.
Even if you had both parents growing up as a child, it's so important for the females need to grasp up the younger females. The older, stronger males need to take in the younger males. They need to show them the way. Like one of the biggest changes in my life was finding a male mentor, like someone that I can look up to, someone that had kind of a life that I was more interested in as far as family and career and stuff like that. And just having that influence of a male taking me to the bonfire and whoop my ass and be like, hey, you're messing
Yes.
up. You're messing up and you need to fix this. And it hurts at first, but then you're like, you know what, you're right. And you're endlessly happier when you get through that bonfire and you're like, yep, I'm on the right path now.
Absolutely. When I became a Kings girl, when I started working for the LA Kings, I had to learn how to skate. And Daryl Evans, he used to play for them, and he's now a commentator for them. He did like a really historical play. They call him the Miracle of Manchester. Like he got them further than Gretzky ever did. You could see it on YouTube and stuff. But he ended up becoming my mentor because he had to train me on how to skate. And then he would put me in like all the pads and like have me push him up against the wall. It was fun. Like, but there'd be times where I could like every step was painful. And he really put me through it and trained me hard. But I like that. But becoming when you have like a mentor in like something physical, like it becomes like a spirit guide, like in the sense of like in like here in this realm. There's something magical that happens with that.
It's like they're passing on a piece of their spirit, that fighting spirit. That's why it's important to make sure that your mentors are stronger people than you, so that you can continue to grow, and then you can pass that on to people weaker than you and keep pulling everybody up as you rise.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say something about you said something that I remembered. Huh.
Talking about jujitsu mentors.
It was something about love.
Lib-
You said, oh
Libras.
my, oh gosh, I forgot. That's terrible. Oh my gosh, I
A new
totally
bus
forgot.
every a new bus every 15 minutes. That might have.
Oh my gosh, filter. You're like a hardcore filter.
Yeah. Well, if I'm going to devote myself to something, I want to make sure that it's right. I don't. I'm fixing to turn 38 in like 3 weeks, and I just don't have time for nonsense. Like I'm motivated. I'm ready to go. I'm shooting up, and I want someone that's going to be right there with me. I don't want someone that's the crabs in the bucket. I don't want to be pulled down.
I had mentioned this about with the planets. Like, there's a lot of planetary transits going on. Like that, some that hasn't happened in like 248 or 49 years. There's this Pluto transit, this Saturn transit. Like, you're gonna see collectively like a lot of people. They are like, I've had it, where they're like, I am tired of like the government. Like, I am tired of being treated this way. You see it relationships too. Like, especially this past summer when Venus went retrograde, and then this Pluto transit's kind of kicking everybody's butt because with Pluto, it's like destroying what no longer serves you. Like, so it's like, hey, Pluto is a powerhouse. Don't judge it by its size, because that Pluto is like, what, like it's gonna come in, and it's coming in, and it's destroying like a fire. Like, this isn't working, that's not working, and it's just gonna eradicate it. And so it seems like this violent upheaval in people's life of like, this is it, and financially as well, and how that's going to affect everyone of things are getting torched. And but it's going to make way for new land and like new growth. But first, you have to destroy everything that's not working. So it's a lot. There's a lot of energies coming in. And lately, we've been having like crazy solar flares, which we all feel, but
Yeah.
we can't really, people were getting like they'll get a lot of headaches, or their dreams, especially in the last week. A lot of people were calling me about their dreams and what their dreams are. And it's usually stuff that they're like, I was over this. I thought I healed from this. Like, why is this coming up? It's like, well, it's still in there. You need to address it and, do some self-analysis, like forgive yourself and do differently. Like, it's coming up for a reason. So, it's important to like address things and confront them. But
When,
yeah,
when
you
did the when did Pluto start doing that thing? Because I had to destroy myself around 2019 to be able to regrow into this stronger version of myself.
Well, what was it at the end of 2019? Because you had the big Saturn Jupiter conjunction. That was major. And then, was it when was it in 2019?
Like I want to say March 2019 is a pivotal date on when everything started, and
Hmm.
then that kind of death bloom cycle lasted for, I want to say, a year or two, where I was just kind of trimming the fat, cutting relationships. I was changing things out. I was isolating, and then I kind of something clicked, and I was ready to grow. It's like I was seeds inside ash. I needed to
Yeah,
change.
December of 2020, there's the great conjunction where it was Saturn and Jupiter, and that was like profound. Like, they were talking about that, like the ancients were, and they had things built for that exact moment. Like, they're like, everything's gonna change. Like, they knew, and that's, yeah, it was like December 19th, 2020, and really powerful energies. And but the Pluto is the Pluto. Oh my gosh! Like earlier this year, and then it it like hopped back into another sign and then hopped forward, and then so we're really going to be seeing things next year. Really, we're going to be seeing a lot of. You're going to be seeing it on a war, like you're going to be seeing a lot of people have had it with the government, really, like where they're like, I've had it with this, like, and demanding more accountability of things. So we need people like you that are trustworthy and efficient, and we need people like you overseeing stuff like that instead of like corrupt individuals with agendas and a price of they'll do whatever to implement whatever. So you're part of the solution, Larry.
Cool. I was gonna say, I hope I'm not part of the on the other end of that guillotine crowd.
Well, shoot, with all the Capricorn placements, you're like, yeah, I have a price. You're like, yeah, I'll take this for that. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, that's a bad joke. But yeah, we need people like you that are honorable and have ethics and that value themselves as somebody we could trust, like in positions like that.
Sweet. So it sounds like it's everything that I've been moving towards. It sounds like I'm supposed to be moving towards it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. That's why I'm like, dude, really, I'm just showing up, giving you confirmation. Okay. Because we have this thing here where we all have amnesia. Okay. Like we all need to remind ourselves how powerful we are, how great, like, because there's something that happens in this realm. You could say it's the frequencies. You could say it's the whatever, spiritual warfare. Whatever you want to call it. But we will forget things and we will be so hard on ourselves. So we need reminders. So ultimately, I'm telling you stuff you already know, like, and it's just a reminder. And now you could play it back if you ever feel like hard on yourself, or if it gets to be overwhelming with all these new responsibilities where you're like, yes, like, okay, I need like some words of encouragement or reminders. We just forget. We just need sometimes to remind each other, like how badass we truly and powerful we truly are.
I agree.
Well, awesome, Larry. Well, I can't wait to get the update, and I hope that you enjoyed this. And yeah. So,
yes, ma'am. It was an honor to meet you finally.
An honor to meet you as well.
Right on.
Watch the sun come up, beautiful, till it all burns out. Falling stars, miracles, dancing on the ground. And we're right with you to feel it strike deep dive. We're right with you, yeah. And we're right with you to feel it strike deep dive. Suffering grows, yeah. They say that life is beautiful.